Welcome back, everyone, to 7-Minute Deep Dive. We're always uncovering some truly incredible stories, aren't we?
And today we've got someone special, someone who really knows how to, squeeze every drop out of life.
Yeah,
Gino.
exactly. You hit the nail on the head. We're diving into this article. It's from a blog called Tuesdays at Starbucks. It's all about these encounters the author has with these, I don't know, like these larger-than-life personalities. And Gino, well, she definitely fits the bill.
Oh, I was hooked from the first few lines. You can just tell. Gino's energy, it jumps off the page.
You know, it's funny you say that. The author describes her. He says she's like a chameleon when it comes to style. One day it's black hair, the next it's red, then silver, long, short, you name it. She's not afraid to experiment, to try new things.
I love that.
And get this, they're just meeting for the first time, right?
Yeah.
And bam, she just comes right out and asks him, have you walked the Camino de Santiago? Like, it's the most normal question in the world.
Wow. Yeah, that tells you something right there. She's adventurous, outgoing, just dives right into things. I mean, not everyone opens with the Camino de Santiago, right?
You're telling me. And speaking of embracing things, we got to talk about Gino's love for hiking.
Yeah.
This is like a core part of who she is.
It really is. She's involved in a bunch of different hiking groups over in Lebanon. And the way she describes it, it's like you're right there with her. All those sensory details. Like she talks about the sound of, I think it was snowflakes, crunching under her boots.
Almost like she wants to soak up every little detail, every single sensation.
Totally. She's present in the moment. Do you think maybe this passion for hiking, do you think it connects to her overall, her approach to life?
Oh, absolutely. It's like she's conquering these trails, right? But it's also this metaphor for how she approaches everything else. Always pushing boundaries, wanting to really experience it all.
That's a good point. And her life story, it definitely reflects that. She spent a good chunk of time, 29 years in South Africa?
Yeah, 29 years, living a pretty, well, comfortable life from the sounds of it. Big house, family, the whole 9 yards.
The article mentions staff, even 24-hour security. So yeah, it sounds like materially, she really had it all.
You'd think that would be enough for anyone, right? But there's this twist. Despite all that, she felt this pull towards Lebanon. Not because of family or anything like that.
Yeah.
She just felt this deep connection to the people, to the energy of the place.
It's like an invisible thread, isn't it? Pulling her back. Imagine feeling that draw to a place, even after decades of living somewhere else.
It's pretty powerful. And she didn't just ignore it either. She found a way to split her time between both places. Balancing her family in South Africa with this need to be in Lebanon, that's real commitment.
It really makes you wonder, what is it about Lebanon that speaks to her so deeply? What do you think, for you as a listener, what could create that kind of pull to a place?
Great question. And, we can't ignore the elephant in the room. Her life takes a pretty dramatic turn when she's diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
This is where things get really serious. They said it was a really aggressive form and that she only had 6 months left to live.
Wow. I can't even imagine. How do you process that kind of news?
I don't know. It's heartbreaking. But what's remarkable is her response. She decides to go back to Lebanon, the place that called to her, to face her final days.
And that's when things get, unbelievable. She makes this incredible recovery, and she credits it all to St. Charbel. Talk about a second chance.
It makes you think, doesn't it? Facing your own mortality. It's got to be a catalyst for change.
Yeah, it really does make you stop and think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like when you're confronted with your own mortality like that.
Yeah.
It's got to change something inside you, right?
Absolutely. And I wonder if it made that desire to live life to the fullest even stronger for Gino. Really savor every moment.
Yeah.
And the article actually goes into her philosophy about life, and it's pretty fascinating stuff. Oh, it really is. She believes that God give everyone a set amount of time here on Earth. But we also have free will. We get to choose how we spend that time. You know what I mean?
So it's not about just accepting fate passively, but taking control and making the most of the time you're given, even within those boundaries.
Exactly. And for Gino, that means focusing on the positive, savoring all those experiences, and never, ever taking anything for granted. It seems like that near-death experience really cemented that whole mindset for her.
That's something I think we can all relate to, right? It's easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day and forget just how precious life really is.
For sure. And Gino's story is a great reminder, isn't it, to appreciate those little things, the everyday moments of joy that we often just let slip by.
Totally. And it's not just about her own happiness either.
Right.
She's also really passionate about sharing her story and inspiring others, especially young people.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. She uses all sorts of platforms like podcasts and radio, TV, even visits schools to connect with young people and get her message out there.
And what strikes me is how she does it all in such a genuine and unfiltered way. It's not some polished speech. It's like she's just having a conversation with you.
That's what makes it so compelling, right? It's that authenticity. It's not about preaching. It's about sharing her own struggles and triumphs, those raw experiences.
So what are some of those key messages she wants to get across? What should we as listeners take away from Gino's story?
Well, one of the big ones is about making life worthwhile. Finding what truly matters to you and pursuing it with everything you've got. And another key theme that comes up a lot is forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Raka.
That's a tough one. It can be so hard to let go of those feelings of hurt and resentment.
Absolutely. But Gino frames it as a crucial part of living a fulfilling life. It's not about the other person. It's about freeing yourself from that negativity, that burden.
It makes sense when you put it like that. Holding on to all that anger and resentment, it can really weigh you down.
Exactly. She's encouraging us to choose peace over bitterness. And she also talks about not taking things personally. It's kind of related to forgiveness, but goes a bit deeper. It's about realizing that a lot of the time other people's actions come from their own issues and insecurities, not because of anything you've done.
That's such a valuable lesson, don't you think? Especially for young people who are still figuring out all those complex social dynamics.
Totally. And Gino's just so good at putting those complicated emotions and ideas into words that anyone can understand. That's a big part of what makes her so relatable.
It's like she's saying it's okay to be human, to make mistakes, to learn from them.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
all about growth, not perfection.
Uh-huh.
And her own story proves that.
So let's talk about her vision for the future. She has this dream of having a little cottage in the Lebanese mountains, a place where people can come to her for companionship and knowledge.
It's such a sweet vision, isn't it? It speaks volumes about her generosity and her desire to create this space where people feel welcome and supported.
Like a haven of warmth and wisdom.
Oh. Yeah, and it all ties together, doesn't it? Her love of nature, her deep connection to Lebanon, her wanting to connect with others on a deeper level.
It's like the perfect culmination of her life's journey.
It's a really powerful image, and it makes you wonder what your own personal sanctuary would be like.
That's a great question for our listeners. What kind of space would you create to nurture your soul and connect with others?
We'll keep that in mind as we head into the final part of our deep dive into Gino's amazing life.
You know what's really stuck with me through all of this? It's Gino's connection to Lebanon. What do you think it is about that specific place that, resonates so deeply with her?
It's something else, isn't it? I was thinking the same thing. It's more than just liking a place. It's like Lebanon. It just calls to her on this deeper level.
Exactly. And it makes me think about how she talks about feeling the presence of her deceased father and Jesus and St. Charbel when she's hiking there. Could those spiritual connections be stronger because of the energy of Lebanon itself?
That's a really interesting thought. It's like she finds peace and guidance in those connections, right? And those feelings are even stronger in a place that already means so much to her, almost like they're right there with her.
Makes you think about faith and spirituality and how they shape the way we see the world. I mean, even if we don't share those exact same beliefs, you got to admit there's something powerful about how she draws strength from those connections.
Oh, absolutely. And you can see how that deep faith just influences everything she does in life.
Yeah, it's like her belief system fuels her positivity, that determination to really seize every moment, and that unwavering belief in the good in people.
Exactly. And it comes through in how she interacts with others. Remember how the author described her as unfiltered and raw when she shares her story with those young people? She's not afraid to be real with them.
Totally. She's not afraid to be vulnerable. She shares her struggles right alongside her successes.
Yeah.
And I think that creates a real human connection.
That's the key, isn't it? Her authenticity. She's not up on a pedestal preaching. She's just sharing her journey, openly and honestly, and letting others find their own way.
And what I like is that she doesn't act like she has it all figured out. She's still searching and growing and, learning as she goes.
That's a great message too, right? It's okay to not have all the answers. Life's all about learning and growing. None of us are perfect. We're all work in progress.
Well, Gino's story has been quite a ride, hasn't it? Full of challenges, but also incredibly inspiring. What are your final thoughts? What do you hope people take away from our deep dive today?
I think it's a reminder that life is precious. Each day is a gift, and that we have the power to make choices that really matter, choices that reflect who we are and what we value, and that we can choose to see the good, to forgive ourselves and others, and to really find meaning in our own unique journey.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Gino's story is proof that the human spirit is incredibly resilient. And that embracing life with gusto really makes a difference. And who knows, maybe her story will inspire some of our listeners out there to create their own little havens of connection and shared wisdom. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us on 7 Minute Deep Dive.